It's a big, big night for Scotland. They haven't been at a major championship since the 1998 World Cup. Haven't, of course, been at a European Championships since 2 years before that, when they were in England for Euro 96. Spain, the current European and world champions, but not the current world number ones in terms of the FIFA ranking. Spain are second at the moment. Scotland, exactly 50 places lower, in 52nd. The Rico Perez Stadium in Alicante is not quite full, but it is still filling up, so I suspect it will fill out. There's not that many blue seats still visible. There were 12,000 people here for training yesterday, and it looks like this ground, which holds 30,000, will be pretty close to full. It's a pretty strong lineup for both sides, and perhaps most surprisingly for Spain, the one concession being made by Vicente del Bosque is that Iker Casillas will not make his record-breaking 126th appearance for Spain. He's on the bench. Victor Valdés comes in ahead of him, the Barcelona goalkeeper. It's a back four made up of Sergio Ramos, Gerard Piqué, Carlos Puyol and Jordi Alba. Sergio Busquets, Santi Cazorla and Xavi Hernandez in midfield. The line of three up front, which is David Silva, David Villa and Pedro Rodriguez. For Scotland, Alan McGregor in goal, and the coach Craig Levein was talking about the need for Alan McGregor perhaps to have the game of his life tonight, to make 4 or 5 really great saves. But he added, I very, very much believe that he can make those 4 or 5 great saves. The back four is Alan Hutton, Christophe Berra, Gary Caldwell and Phil Bardsley. Charlie Adam, Darren Fletcher, James Morrison, Stephen Naismith and Barry Bannon. The men playing in the midfield. Up front, Craig McHale-Smith, the guy who's come from almost nowhere to be something of a hero for Scotland after he scored that key goal with a header. The goal that gives them the opportunity. That was the goal that gave Scotland the victory against Lithuania. Scotland's results have certainly improved. The last 3, a 2-2 draw with the Czech Republic, a 1-0 victory at home against Lithuania and a 1-0 win away at Liechtenstein. That's what puts them in this position. That's what gives them the chance, Scotland now, of making it to the European Championships in the summer. Spain's squad starts with 7 Barcelona players in it, just the one Real Madrid player, Sergio Ramos at right back. And here are a couple of those Barcelona players. Carlos Puyol now with Jordi Alba, who of course is a Valencia player. Began his career though at Barcelona. Jordi Alba was a creative midfielder, the guy who played just behind the strikers. Went to Valencia and became a left-sided attacking player, but the coach at Valencia, Unai Emery, has really converted him into a left back, and it's been a big bonus that for Spain, where left back's a problem position. Joan Capdevila, the consistent left back for the side in the European Championships in 2008 and again in the World Cup in 2010, went to Portugal this summer with Benfica and hasn't played and hasn't even been signed up to the team that will play in the Champions League this season. So Vicente del Bosque forced to look elsewhere. Here's David Silva. Now Pedro looking for the run of Silva towards the byline. Across to make a challenge, Christophe Berra, the Wolves centre-back. A big roar from the Scotland fans. Scotland under no illusions as to the size of the task ahead of them. We've been talking about the need for them to have a great game, for almost every player to play the game of his life, and for Spain to be slightly off form. Spain's record over the last few years is absolutely stunning, and not just because of the European Championships and the World Cup, but also the consistency of victories. So of course tonight, the 14th consecutive win in the Spanish national team. That said, Spain's biggest ever defeat at home did come against Scotland, a 6-2 at the Santiago Bernabeu back in 1963. It's a nice alert now towards Alan Hutton. He showed a little bit too much of that to Jordi Alba, though, and Alba was able to regain possession and find Gerard Piqué. Barcelona centre-back partnership. Slight surprise, we weren't expecting Carlos Puyol to play tonight. He's had a number of injury problems, not just over the last few weeks, but in fact over the last couple of years. He was admitting in the build-up to this game that he even thought about possibly leaving football altogether because of a series of knee problems he had with the cartilage and indeed with the ligament. Puyol has indeed also added that he doesn't know if he'll continue with Spain after the European Championships. By then he will probably be beyond 100 caps, so that's perhaps a target for him, as indeed, of course, is the chance to win the European Championships itself. Spain will go to Poland and Ukraine as favourites. It's Phil Bardsley with a throw in, and Sergio Ramos who heads it down. This is Sergio Busquets under pressure from Darren Fletcher. Trying to chase down Carlos Puyol was Craig McHale-Smith. It's Xavi Hernandez, captain for the night for the Spanish national team. In the absence, of course, of Iker Casillas, Busquets loses out. Busquets is fortunate enough to win the free kick. He was under pressure from Liverpool's Charlie Adam. Here's Xavi Hernandez. Silva was coming short from those movements to the right-hand side with Sergio Ramos. This is Pedro. An unusual role in the middle of midfield for Spain tonight for this man here, Santi Cazorla. Summer signing, of course, for Malaga from Villarreal. 19 million euros that took Santi Cazorla to Malaga. And he's been certainly worth the money so far. 4 goals already for his new side, and a really wonderful, quick-footed, visionary player, Santi Cazorla. Almost got himself in trouble there for a moment, but Cazorla does come away with the ball. Finds Piqué. This is a role he was asked to play for Spain in Salamanca immediately after the World Cup, a slightly deeper role in the middle of midfield. Cazorla admitted after the game that he'd never played there before, wasn't sure if he knew how to. Played extremely well. Vicente del Bosque has had no hesitation in giving him another go in that position this evening. Of course, Andres Iniesta still injured for the Spanish national team. And also in the end, Vicente del Bosque has decided not to risk Xabi Alonso, who's not even on the bench tonight. He picked up a knock, a really terrible challenge, in fact, in that game against the Czech Republic at the weekend. No place tonight for Xabi Alonso. This is Busquets. And Spain already settling into that pattern of maintaining possession. Scotland won't feel that's particularly unexpected, however. Alba makes the run beyond Villa. Here is Alba. Lovely ball back from Alba, and Silva scores. Well, Spain could hardly have had a better start. 5 minutes in, and already they're in the lead. And Jordi Alba has already made a key contribution. It was Alba's dashing run on the left-hand side, a player who began his career, as I say, as a creative midfielder, then became a left-sided attacker for Valencia, reconverted to left-back, and starting as left-back tonight, but it's really as a more creative force that he's helped Spain open the scoring. David Silva gets the goal. It was Villa to Alba to Silva, and the temptation is to say it was the Valencia connection for the Spanish national team. Former Valencia player David Villa, former Valencia player David Silva, and the current Valencia player Jordi Alba, who combined for the goal. Well, David Silva was saying in a recent interview that he felt that he didn't always get the opportunities that perhaps he deserves with the Spanish national team. And certainly he has been possibly the player that's paid the highest price for the slight change in tactics with the change of manager. Luis Aragonés always played with one more creative midfielder than Vicente del Bosque does. Del Bosque, who joined together both Sergio Busquets and Xabi Alonso, and there were people who questioned that during the World Cup. That change has been very, very bad news for David Silva. He hasn't played a huge amount. He complained recently, relatively timidly, but he did complain in a newspaper interview. Vicente del Bosque said it would make no difference. Indeed, it hasn't. And Silva's already on the score sheet. It's Sergio Ramos bombing forward. David Villa again. Villa comes inside. His shot takes the deflection of Alan Hutton, and it'll be a Spanish corner, and things could not have started worse for Scotland. Now, the good news, of course, for Scotland is as they currently have a 1-point lead over the Czech Republic, they could lose and still make it. They would need the Czech Republic to lose as well. Here's Gerard Piqué, nicely taken by him. Lovely back heel into the path of David Silva. Silva's touch to take himself away from the challenge. Villa couldn't quite bring it under control. It drops to Piqué. Silva, Piqué, it dropped behind Piqué. He couldn't take it with him, but Villa has won possession back for the Spanish. Silva to Villa. Villa faced by Hutton. Still Villa. Away from Hutton. Still Villa can't quite get the space to deliver the cross, though. He's now got support from Jordi Alba. Jordi Alba goes to the byline, pulls it back. It's cleared at the near post by Gary Caldwell. Charlie Adam now, with the help of Hutton, gets possession for the Scots, but Adam has walked himself into trouble, although he does really well to get back ahead of Santi Cazorla and keep the move alive. It's Christophe Berra now on the far side. Lovely bit of footwork and good speed as well. Chasing this in Mikhail Smith, but over on the far side it's now James Morrison. Morrison's left-footed cross, Valdés lets it go, and it almost went all the way through, and it was Stephen Naismith on the far side who was coming in. Valdés momentarily lost the flight of the ball. Naismith was dashing in at the far post. Valdés seemed to doubt whether or not to go for that. Piqué certainly didn't quite go for it. And in the end it was Naismith who was coming in at the far post. Couldn't quite reach it. It's a promising sign for the Scots after a very difficult start to this game. As I say, they were expecting not to have a huge amount of possession. Darren Fletcher was talking about how Spain and Barcelona have actually changed the face of football and revolutionised the approach, that he's never seen teams with quite so much control, and that all you can do in a situation like that is make the absolute most of the few moments of possession you get. Here's Piqué bombing forward as Sergio Ramos did a minute or so before. Piqué's ball though to Pedro is not a good one, and Piqué's run into the penalty area may end up being irrelevant, although Pedro manages to keep that ball in play and keep the move alive. This is Sergio Ramos. Ramos loses out. It's Stephen Naismith now. His ball up towards Michael Smith. Fletcher wide now. It's Charlie Adam. Adam's ball to right hand side is a neat one. It's James Morrison who picks it up. Outside him was Hutton. Alongside him was Fletcher. Fletcher's ball isn't the best, and Sergio Ramos is able to guide that back to goal. Scotland do have a couple of important absentees. James Morrison is playing in the middle of midfield. Scott Brown is out. Really big loss that for them. Certainly defensively, at least. Craig Levine talking about the importance of Scott Brown and Darren Fletcher as a defensive rock in the middle of midfield. The ball over the top is offside given against Craig Smith, the 27-year-old. Signed for Brighton for £3 million in the summer. Came out of almost nowhere, really, has taken the place of the injured Kenny Miller. Pretty much an unknown when he was called up into the Scotland squad in March to face Brazil. Really has made an impact with that goal. Vital goal against Liechtenstein. He said himself that he didn't even see the goal, that he got the header and was heading towards the turf. Didn't see the ball hit the net. Did, however, hear the fans roar. Suddenly the atmosphere has changed around the Scottish national team. There is a sense of optimism, at least there was. Here we are 11 minutes in, and the Spanish already have the lead. And of course, from Scotland's point of view, that means it's not enough for the other game to stay as it is. It needs to change. The Czech Republic need to be defeated. Here's Santi Cazorla. Nice work from Cazorla in the end. Alan McGregor gets down quickly. Rangers goalkeeper claiming the ball at the second attempt. He's largely up on his own at the moment, Michael Smith. This is his fourth game for Scotland. Cazorla just opened up his body to try and nudge that to the wing. Neither Villa nor Alba able to reach it. Silva putting pressure on. Gary Caldwell happy enough to give that back to Alan McGregor. It's Carlos Puyol, Jordi Alba, now Xavi. Xavi back to Victor Valdés. It's a big opportunity, this one, for Victor Valdés. He's played 5 times for Spain before, but not once played 90 minutes, and all of those games have been friendlies. It's 17 long years since a Barcelona goalkeeper started a competitive game for Spain. That was, of course, Andoni Zubizarreta back in 1994. The referee wants a word with Caldwell. A long way from the defence to make that challenge. The referee tonight, incidentally, is a Swede. It's Stefan Johansson. Wasn't the cleanest of challenges from Caldwell. Cazorla to Silva. Silva's got Ramos, has run outside, and Ramos has got space to maybe deliver the cross. Cuts back onto his left foot. Ramos now to Silva. A little bit overhit that pass, but it does find Cazorla now. Cazorla looking towards Villa. And Villa has started this game right out on the left-hand side. Seems to be a hint of a handball there from Sergio Ramos. Play continues. Alba for Busquets. Cazorla to Xavi. And Cazorla again. Neat footwork from Cazorla to Silva. Cazorla continues his run. Outside him is Alba. Cazorla decides against going to Alba. Does give it to David Silva. Silva's first touch wasn't the best, and the second came bouncing off his knee. Lost possession. Here's Ramos. Now Xavi Hernandez. This is Santi Cazorla for Silva. Cazorla once more. Silva again looking to Villa. Villa couldn't get to it. Villa lets it run towards Alba. Alba is beaten to it, and it's really nicely done by James Morrison. Morrison kicks it in play as well. Puyol gets there ahead of Michael Smith. He goes battling with Cazorla. Cazorla maintains possession. Still Cazorla maintains possession, and Cazorla did really, really well to keep possession for Spain, with Craig Michael Smith all over the back of him. Certainly been industrious, Brighton player so far. But it's Spain whose dominance of the ball is absolute at the moment. Silva spreads it over towards Ramos. Ramos brings it under control. He's got support short from Sergio Busquets. Silva now to Pedro. Pedro back to Silva. Silva's got support alongside him. Goes for Pedro once more. Pedro into the area. Pedro cuts back onto his left foot. Pedro slices it somewhat, and it goes straight into the arms of Alan McGregor. It's not his favourite foot, the left foot, Pedro, but he came inside, was happy enough to have a go, slightly scuffed it. Maybe even took a deflection on the way through as he stepped away from Phil Bardsley. Phil Bardsley perhaps a little uncomfortable at left back. He's much more a right back for Sunderland. That said, with Pedro coming inside, it's theoretically at least onto Bardsley's stronger foot. It's a tactic that has been used to great effect before. Of course, the Spain defender Alvaro Arbeloa, when he was at Liverpool, was employed as a left back precisely so that he would come in on his right foot when Leo Messi came inside onto his left foot when Liverpool played Barcelona in the Champions League a few years ago under Rafa Benitez. Here's Piqué. Over it goes from Piqué towards Villa, who has started very, very wide and hasn't looked to come inside just yet. Spain have almost left the centre of the attack absolutely empty so far for players to occupy from deep rather than to be standing there waiting. Here's Cazorla. Cazorla tries to play the 1-2 from Silva. It wasn't the best of return balls from Silva, in truth. Spain, though, immediately get possession back. Barry Bannon, who was looking for the ball up the right-hand side for James Morrison. Here's Pedro. Pedro's ball was always going to go towards Sergio Ramos, and I think the Scots were aware of that, hence the ease with which it was cut out. Short to Silva. Now Xavi. Xavi clips it in towards Puyol. Puyol's header is not far wide, and it wouldn't be the first time that Carlos Puyol had scored a header from a corner for the Spanish. Of course, he scored the goal in the World Cup semi-final that took Spain to that final. That little bit too high for David Villa to get to it. James Morrison was in close attendance as well. So too Alan Hutton, the 26-year-old, joined Aston Villa this summer from Tottenham Hotspurs. Here's Bannon, another Aston Villa player, and he's had an important start to the season. Particularly big contribution he made against Queen's Park Rangers a couple of weeks ago. And he has had problems in the build-up to this game. Craig Levine insisting that Bannon is not the kind of player who worries about who's against him. The phrase he used was, he doesn't bother his backside that he's up against Spain. Barry Bannon not his backside that's the problem, it's his Achilles. Big cut on his Achilles tendon. And over the last couple of days, Bannon struggled even to get his boot on. And if the cut reopens, it causes him real problems. So we'll be hoping that that's been sufficiently well strapped and sufficiently well treated. But that doesn't happen tonight. Scotland certainly will need his creativity. PK blocks off the run of Craig McHale-Smith. PK is saying that was nothing he could do about it. McHale-Smith certainly ran towards PK almost as much as the other way around. Free kick perhaps a little too far out for anyone to attempt a shot. I must say, on second viewing, it looks far more deliberate that from PK than it did first time round. He appeared to lean his arm across to make absolutely certain that he caught McHale-Smith. It's Charlie Adam who will deliver this. Liverpool signing from Blackpool in the summer. They tried to sign him in the winter transfer window before that. Here is Adam. He can certainly deliver a good ball. It's to the far side, looking to be headed back across goal, and in the end, though, it was just straight into the arms of Victor Valdez. Sergio Ramos was the man that was beaten to the jump. Better who come up from the back, the Wolves defender. Jordi Alba's ball just puts PK under a little bit of pressure. Now Fletcher comes to try and make life difficult for him. This is Victor Valdez, Carlos Puyol. Now Jordi Alba. Alba's ball inside for Xavi, and suddenly it's a little bit of space for Spain. Silva to Xavi. Cazorla was making the dash through the middle. Cazorla does now receive it. Outside him is Sergio Ramos. Ramos to Cazorla. Now Busquets. David Villa was looking to try and get on the shoulder of Alan Hutton and beyond him. Busquets thought about the pass and then came back again. Spain maintained possession and wait for that opportunity to open up. Cazorla turns away from Bannon. Cazorla again. To Busquets. Pedro. And now Sergio Ramos. And once again, it's Santi Cazorla seeing a lot of the ball early on. Santi Cazorla to Xavi. Now Puyol. Silva finds Alba. Spain continues to move the ball forwards and backwards from side to side, waiting for the right opportunity, the right pass. And for a moment there, Pedro thought he had it. He played it into Cazorla. Cazorla went beyond him. Cazorla was complaining, I think, that he got held back. Charlie Adam alongside him certainly doesn't think so. Adam is telling him so. And a long ball forward towards Craig McHale-Smith is easily dealt with, and all the way through once again to Victor Valdez. Valdez was chosen tonight ahead of Iker Casillas, of course, but also ahead of Pepe Reina, Spain's other substitute goalkeeper. 23 times he's played for Spain, Reina, rather more than Valdez's 5 before tonight. It's been difficult for Reina. He's gone through the same experience, and he was explaining it in these terms this week of that his dad did. His dad, Miguel Reina, played for Spain 95 times over a course of 19 years. Unfortunately, had ahead of him Iribar, probably the most famous goalkeeper of all time, apart from Ricardo Zamora. Iribar, a real legend, kept Miguel Reina from playing more, and now Iker Casillas, a real legend, captain of the World Cup winning side, on the verge of 126 caps, which would be an all-time record. Level with Andoni Zubizarreta. He's keeping Pepe Reina out. Reina said, yes, it's hard to take, but the good news is that me and Iker Casillas are soulmates. Hutton's touch isn't the best. Cazorla gets to it. So does Villa. Cazorla again trying to find Xavi. Couldn't quite do so. Jordi Alba got in ahead of James Morrison and committed a foul on the way through. The referee says play on. Fletcher's ball it is, looking to get beyond PK. It does get beyond PK all the way to the far side, and PK makes a really, really good recovering challenge. It was Stephen Naismith again looking to come in from the left-hand side, as he almost did to such effect earlier on. PK, who let the original ball go, had to be very, very quick to react. Meanwhile, at the other end, David Villa is caught out for offside. And wrongly so by the look of the replay. Villa entitled to feel a little hard done by there. Looking for his 50th goal for Spain, David Villa. 49 already makes him Spain's all-time top scorer. Of course, he was top scorer at Euro 2008, top scorer at the World Cup in South Africa. Here's Silva. Villa wants it played to him. Silva instead goes towards Pedro. Pedro comes inside but leaves the ball slightly behind and is caught out in the end by the diving challenge of Phil Bardsley. Scotland come away with possession. Spain have 3 men ahead of the ball. Maybe it'll open up a little bit now for Charlie Adam. Charlie Adam, I think, was going for goal there, even though he was only just inside his half. There was a goal from inside his own half in the last round of Spanish games. Inigo Martinez scoring for Real Sociedad at Anoeta. A goal so good that Xabi Alonso described it as the best goal ever scored at Anoeta. And the reason that's significant, of course, is that Alonso himself played for Real Sociedad at Anoeta. He knows a thing or two about it. Not only did he play there, so did his father, and so did his brother. And of course, Liverpool fans will no doubt remember Xabi Alonso knows a thing or two about long-range goals as well. Having scored for Liverpool from inside his own half. Silva now to Cazorla. Cazorla ball for Pedro. Still Cazorla now, Xavi Hernandez. Xavi's ball to Cazorla. Cazorla in the area, but he's forced wide. Does really well to turn and find a bit of space. This is Xavi to Ramos. Now Busquets. Spain happy enough to work the ball backwards in order to once again look up and look for the space and rebuild the move. Here's David Silva to Villa. Villa for Pedro now. Jordi Alba. Pedro again for Jordi Alba. Alba's ball was looking inside for David Villa. David Villa backed out the way. Just moved out the way so that Caldwell could get beyond him, but then they encountered each other once again. Slight flaring of tempers between the two, and Villa's ball, which was supposed to curl towards the Scotland end, sliced and went back towards the Spain end. See the goal again. It was wonderfully worked by Jordi Alba. David Villa involved as well. Not too much wrong with Silva's finish. Kept very, very low, making it difficult for Alan McGregor to reach. To Busquets. Xavi once more. Now Pedro. Very, very mobile, moving across the front. Spain really are leaving almost no centre forward. They're playing with Barcelona away in a sense, having a false number 9. At the moment Villa is in that position, but largely Villa has played on the left-hand side. Pedro on the right with David Silva floating behind them. Right now though it's Silva on the right-hand side and Pedro over on the left. This is Xavi Hernandez. Busquets to Ramos. Busquets lets that run through for Carlos Puyol. Now Jordi Alba for Cazorla. Once again, Cazorla seemed to invite the attentions of an opponent. On this occasion it was Barry Bannon, but once again had the quick feet to be able to take himself away from trouble. Reached the half-hour mark, and it's been almost half an hour of Spain playing the ball around. Scotland unable to really get hold of possession. This is Xavi. Now Sergio Ramos. Going beyond him is Pedro. Pedro pulls it back. It finds Silva. It wasn't intended for him, but Silva is in the area now. Busquets. Busquets' ball to Villa, and Villa is offside. Spanish fans starting to find their voice. It's Cazorla. Slightly loose pass to Sergio Ramos, but it does find its target. Gerard Piqué now has possession. It's his job to bring the ball out from the back and create for Spain. Cazorla unable to bring that ball under control. It's Fletcher who finds Morrison. And once again, Craig McCall-Smith is the man chasing down. He's done a lot of work, a lot of running. It's largely been a case of trying to put the Spanish defence under pressure. Craig Levine was saying before the game that he felt the Spanish might be vulnerable because they play such nice football. Scotland now looking to try and find out if that's true. It's Jordi Alba who makes the interception. This is Hutton. Hutton drops it off for Morrison to curl in with his left foot. Spain bring it away, and actually there's space in front of Spain now. This is David Silva. Dashing beyond him is Pedro. Villa's there too. Silva has to get away from the referee. Now Villa. Scotland are back in numbers. Spain have possession. Villa finds Xavi. Outside him is Sergio Ramos. Xavi comes back to the same side. Instead he drops it off towards Santi Cazorla. Cazorla thought about going for goal. Instead brings possession back for Ramos. Ramos finds Busquets, who immediately sends it to the left-hand side for Pedro. Pedro in towards the penalty area. Couldn't quite bring it under control. And the interception was from Morrison. Morrison's clearance, though, only finds Jordi Alba. It's Morrison who was dashing back, trying to catch Alba in the first Spain goal. Xavi now for Villa. Villa turned and could see the run of Sergio Ramos, but so too could Charlie Adam, who was across quickly enough to be able to cut that out. Charlie Adams throw in for Morrison. Adam again. This is Gary Caldwell. Neatly delivered ball from Caldwell over to the far side for Bannon. The announcement from the stadium announcer, you can probably hear the boos going around the Rico Pérez Stadium because the stadium announcer has asked all fans to remain seated. Scotland fans who want to stand up don't much like that. Scotland fans who have come to Alicante in huge numbers try and see their team over this final hurdle. Of course, it wouldn't be the final hurdle because Scotland would then still have to go for a playoff. At the moment, it looks like they're not going to make it. They're a goal down to Spain. As yet, no news from Kaunas, where Scotland now need the Czech Republic to lose. Both on +1 goal difference. A draw here, rather a draw for the Czech Republic would put them on 11 points, the same as Scotland. But Scotland would go from +1 to -1 if they lost this 1-0. Here's Silva. Silva's shot is wide. David Silva, who's been on such sparkling form for Manchester City so far this season in the Premier League. City fans would insist that it's not just this season. He's been the outstanding player for the last couple of years, alongside Carlos Tevez, of course. And struck up a real understanding with Sergio Aguero in the opening weeks of the new season in England. Very timid character, David Silva, the Canary Islander, from the town of Arguineguín, which is the same town that Juan Carlos Valerón comes from. Two wonderfully creative players from a town of barely 6,000. And then it goes, and it wasn't far away. Darren Fletcher was the man dashing in, took it on the half volley. Stephen Naismith's flick on. Darren Fletcher was dashing into the penalty area. He's been ill of late, but Scotland delighted to have him back. Fletcher was insisting on the need for Scotland to take advantage of what little time they had on the ball, and very nearly did then. Did well, Darren Fletcher, the Manchester United player, to reach it. Timed his run very well indeed, just didn't quite get over the ball enough to be able to bring it down. Fletcher's been talking in glowing terms about his teammates with the Scottish national team over recent weeks. He doesn't no longer really feel like he has to be Roy of the Rovers and do everything for them. Feels like he has stronger players around him, players who can create and keep possession, make things happen, with Charlie Adam and James Morrison, Naismith and Bannon as well. It's a relatively inexperienced midfield. You go through it, Morrison 17 caps before tonight, Bannon 14 caps, Bannon just 8 caps before tonight, Stephen Naismith 14 caps before tonight, Charlie Adams just 14 caps as well. Fletcher with 56, by far and away the most experienced of them. And of course, having been at Manchester United for so long, the one who carries the most cachet as well. So very, very pleased with the fact that he doesn't have to do effort. It's a lovely move. And in the end, it's called back for offside. I think it was Alan Hutton who strayed momentarily into an offside position as he received the ball from Stephen Naismith. Naismith got 11 goals last season for Rangers. It's another announcement from the stadium announcer for fans to remain seated. And another set of boos from the Scotland fans. No hint whatsoever of trouble in the city of Alicante over the last couple of days. Very, very good-natured. Of course, Scots, what they're desperate for is the chance to have a party with the Spanish. But that depends on results elsewhere, as the result here at the moment isn't going well for Scotland. Ramos was manoeuvred out of position then, just bundled Stephen Naismith to the ground. May get himself a yellow card here, Sergio Ramos. He does indeed. Ramos can't say that he's unfortunate. He is a player who picks up a lot of bookings, both at club and country level, in particular for his club, for Real Madrid. Sergio Ramos, very athletic, very aggressive, very quick player. Combative one too. Has occasionally been guilty of slightly losing his head. Valdez to Ramos. And now Xavi Hernandez. Piqué. Under pressure, Piqué, and very nearly got himself caught out. And once again, Craig McCall-Smith was really putting pressure on and moving as quickly as he could to close down all of the defenders, in that case Piqué. Silva. Xavi thought about the pass, took his time, decided it was the right ball in the end to spread it wide towards Villa. Villa was trying to look to put Alba in behind Hutton. Hutton, though, cut the ball out. With the support of Morrison. Morrison may well have been the most impressive of the Scottish players in the first half, certainly in possession. But here's Piqué being turned, lovely footwork as well. It was Bannon trying to get the ball back across. Couldn't quite pull it back for James Morrison in the end, who was waiting at the far post. Piqué, though, was turned outside and back inside again. Bannon did very, very well indeed in the end, though. The cross was very, very overhit. You could see the anger of James Morrison at the far post. So he's had a good first half, Morrison. Neat and tidy in possession. He's moved the ball reasonably well. Danger has tended to come from him and from Stephen Naismith. Here's Xavi, space in front of Xavi now. David Silva, the ball perhaps a little wide. Silva forced further across than he would have liked. Xavi again, looking for Cazorla. Slight hint of a handball from Charlie Adam. He's got away with it and playing the 1-2 with Morrison. Morrison again. The pass was disguised, but it was disguised to his teammates as well from Morrison and given away immediately. Here's Silva. Making the run was Pedro. Villa towards Pedro. Pedro can't quite skip away from the attentions of Phil Bardsley. Villa takes it off Bannon. Villa very nearly makes it 2-0 as well. Fletcher's complaining about the challenge, but Villa was very, very alert to take that off the foot of Barry Bannon. Bannon ran right into trouble, and then somewhat stamped at the ball to try and get it back off Villa. Villa held firm, turned away, and very nearly put Spain 2 goals up. Just wide of the post. It is a corner. Down on this near side, it will be Xavi who takes it. Puyol is underneath it, so too was Piqué, but leaping ahead of both of them was Christophe Berra. Thumped forward by Craig McHale-Smith. Valdés is forced to chase back towards his own goal. His ball under control. Gives it to Cazorla, who gives it back to Valdés as Spain reposition and regroup. Cazorla jogs forward 20 or 30 yards. Piqué and Puyol drop back. Busquets comes short as well to receive. Here is Busquets. Happy enough, Busquets, to suck on the Scotland players, to invite them in, to draw them in, to challenge him, and then leave space beyond them. Valdés is a very, very accomplished goalkeeper with his feet, as we've seen on a number of occasions tonight, not least in that pass there for Jordi Alba. This is Villa. Alba again is making the run outside, and Villa going inside. It's opening up for Villa. Villa towards Cazorla. Lovely footwork from Cazorla. It's a good save as well. Alan McGregor tipping that past the post. I think it may have taken a deflection as Cazorla struck it. Certainly didn't seem to strike it quite as well as he would normally like. Really opened up for Villa. Into Cazorla. Neat touch from Cazorla to take it away from his man, and it was just the outstretched hand, the right hand of Alan McGregor, that tipped it away for a corner. I just wonder if Cazorla may have taken that shot on a little earlier. In the end, he didn't. Xavi's corner is deep towards the far side. Puyol won't get there, nor will Darren Fletcher. Scotland have the throw-in. Well, it is absolutely packed here in the Rico Pérez now. It wasn't packed at kick-off, the fans were still arriving. Certainly filled up now. Once again, it's a good turn of pace from McHale-Smith. Across goes Piqué. Puyol was there, Alba was there. The men that weren't quite there was Stephen Naismith, who was arriving from slightly deeper, dashing through the middle. James Morrison, who was on the far side. Scotland have a corner. And certainly, McHale-Smith has shown that he has the pace to really run at people. He's had a lot of back and hamstring problems of late, but he's looked fit and strong tonight. Underneath that was Christophe Berra. Here's Morrison. Now Bannon. Bannon's ball is a good one, put straight back in, and what a ball back in that was as well. And once again, Stephen Naismith was coming in at the far post, this time from right to centre rather than from left to centre. Going back off the back of Gary Caldwell, it was Christophe Berra's header, I think. Got a ball back into the box, that was, I believe, from Charlie Adam on the far side. First time volley across the 6-yard box. Scotland certainly have shown on a couple of occasions that they can at least create half chances against Spain. Not had much of the possession, wouldn't have expected much of the possession. Have been able to draw Spain towards them, or maybe not draw Spain towards them, so much as have Spain attack them and then look quickly for the space behind. Here's Xavi. Away by Busquets, rare occurrence. It was Stephen Naismith who cut it out, but Spain have possession back. This is Silva. Silva comes inside towards Pedro, back to Silva. It dropped a little bit behind Silva, but Silva can get it under control. What a lovely finish that is from David Silva. Second of the night from David Silva. It's a little more crisp, a little more clean than the finish for the first one. But it means the same thing, it's the same corner of the net. Once again, it's away from Alan McGregor, and once again, it's David Silva who gets the goal. Well, he's questioned the extent to which he's played the games that he should be playing for Spain. But Silva tonight has got to, you look back on the record over those last 13 consecutive games for Spain, Silva's the third top scorer there. David Villa with 11, Iniesta with 3, Llorente with 3, and on 2 goals, Silva, Torres, Xavi, Mata and Negredo. Well, Silva has scored 2 more tonight, taking him to 4. So in this currently world record equaling run of 14 consecutive victories, if Spain do hang on, Silva is the country's second top scorer. Wonderfully taken goal, David Silva on 5 and 43 minutes. Gives Spain a 2-0 lead against Scotland. And leaves Scotland hoping for some kind of miracle in Kaunas at the Czech Republic against Lithuania. Remember, Scotland need the Czech Republic to lose to Lithuania if they're to find a way through, because right now, here in Alicante, they are losing to the world and European champions. At half-time here, it's 2 David Silva goals that are the difference between the two teams. Spain 2, Scotland 0. Welcome back to Alicante, where Scotland are out, and at the moment Scotland are out as well. 2-0 down against the Spanish, and the bad news has come in from Kaunas as well, where the Czech Republic are also winning 2-0. Scotland would not make it to next summer's European Championships, would not even make it to a playoff place unless something drastic happens now. Spain will finish, if these results stay the way they are, with 24 points, top of the group, with an 8 wins out of 8 record. Extraordinary. Scotland would finish with 11 points, the Czech Republic with 13. They would claim second spot and that place in the playoffs. Spain have dominated possession, created a couple of good chances. Scotland on the break have actually created 1 or 2 opportunities themselves, but it's been impossible to find a way through or a really clear chance for them. Possibly the best of them, Stephen Naismith, diving in at the far post, but unable really to carve clear chances out. They've conceded twice, both of them David Silva goals, and Spain are 2-0 up and on course for a 14th consecutive competitive victory. There's a change for the Spanish national team, by the way. Coming in at right back is Alvaro Arbeloa, who replaces Sergio Ramos. So it's 1 Real Madrid player for another, which still means we have 7 Barcelona players on the pitch and 1 Real Madrid player. 1 from Manchester City, David Silva, 1 from Malaga, Santi Cazorla, and 1 from Valencia in Jordi Alba. The Barcelona players, Victor Valdés, Gerard Piqué, Carlos Puyol, Sergio Busquets, David Villa, Pedro Rodriguez and Xavi Hernández. In fact, I'm wrong. Sergio Ramos has gone into centre-back. It's Carlos Puyol who has made way. Ramos to centre-back, Alvaro Arbeloa to right-back. So it's 2 Real Madrid players, 6 Barcelona ones on the pitch for Spain at the start of the game. And now, if that sounds like it's something that shouldn't really bother the fans and shouldn't really bother anybody, it's not quite the case. There's been big question marks over the way that the Spanish national team has been run from the clubs who have complained, and Barcelona who have been very cautious not to complain, but their media has certainly done so on occasions on their behalf. And that Barcelona players have been asked to play more minutes for the Spanish national team than Real Madrid ones. That's the negative reading of it. Of course, the positive one has been from the Catalan media that Barcelona are the backbone of a World Cup winning side, which of course is partly true. So an effect that is exaggerated to some extent tonight with the inclusion of Victor Valdés ahead of Iker Casillas. No real surprise that the man making way is Carlos Puyol, who's had big injury problems and been unable to really play the part that he would like this season, or indeed at the back end of last season. Spain threatening already. Here's David Villa. Outside him was Silva. Villa unable to find him. To Cazorla. Cazorla's ball turned in towards Pedro. Pedro can't quite get there. And into the arms it goes of Alan McGregor. At the moment it looks like there's been no changes made by the Scottish side. It's been a real battle this for Piqué. It's not a bad strike either from Craig McHale-Smith, and he's been forced to fight and battle on his own up front, and he's really caused Piqué 1 or 2 problems. Spain have dominated this game, but there have been a few bright sparks on the Scottish side. Stephen Naismith and James Morrison. McHale-Smith to some extent as well. There's even been 1 or 2 good touches from Charlie Adam and Darren Fletcher, but Spain's control has been quite extraordinary. Here's Villa. on the left-hand side. Outside him goes Alba. Villa comes inside onto his right foot, plays the 1-2 with Silva. Silva back to Villa. Villa to Silva again. Silva couldn't quite turn away from trouble. Nicely done by Morrison, if a little risky. And Naismith is under pressure from Alvaro Arbeloa. And they've given it away. Here's Pedro. And now Silva. Chance for a hat-trick maybe for Silva. Ooh, and it wasn't far away. Left-footed, just wide of the post from David Silva. Canary Islander unable to bend that inside. It was Cazorla who won it back. Pedro to Silva. You could just see exactly the angle he was going for, and my goodness, that wasn't far away from David Silva. Hint of a handball there from Alvaro Arbeloa. The referee saw it. You could hear the shout of handball. Not sure if it's from a player or from fans down there. Caldwell is up, Berra is up. Cal Smith is in there too. Scotland have 4 men inside the 6-yard box. It swung inwards, it goes all the way through. Alba was the man who got the header in the end. Busquets nods it away towards Pedro. Pedro back for Busquets. Busquets is touched first time. Brought under control by Alvaro Arbeloa. Silva to Villa. Villa was looking for the run of Silva, and Silva didn't quite make the right movement. Silva turned to have a word with, I think it was Alan Hutton. Silva, I think, felt that he was clipped on the way through. Hutton wasn't the only man there. I think Christophe Berra was the other. Silva came between the two of them and then turned back to say something. Berra is still talking to Silva. I think it was Caldwell talking to Silva down there. And certainly Silva is a feisty character. Canary Islanders in Spain have a reputation for being laid back, for being fairly light-hearted, and also in football terms for being almost the Brazilians of Spain, technically very gifted, maybe lacking a little in courage at times. Well, Silva certainly has the technical gift, but the former Spain coach Luis Aragonés once said to Silva, "You're not Canarian, you're Basque," because Silva, to use the Spanish football parlance, has a pair. Definitely got the character. The news coming in, by the way, is the Czech Republic are now 3-0 up in Kaunas. So sadly, you would say that it's almost certain now that the Scots are out. Pedro is bundled over by Bardsley. 3-0 in Kaunas. Scotland didn't necessarily need to win tonight, but they certainly did if the Czech Republic were going to do so. 2-0 down. That looks a very, very tall order now. Mind you, here's Silva. Hint of a handball. Silva thought so. Referee said no. The man coming out was Christophe Berra. Spain were leading 2-0 against Scotland at Hampden Park earlier in the group. Third game of the group. And Scotland brought it back to 2-2. That said, Spain then did go on and get the winner anyway to make it 3-2. Silva is apologising for the challenge on Fletcher, which was a pretty bad one. Caldwell immediately turns to have a word with Silva, I think partly because of the fact that they've been talking to each other in the previous play. And I suspect that Caldwell suspects that Silva did it deliberately. Charlie Adam to Bannon. Turn from Bannon. This is Adam again. Left foot to cross, takes a deflection. It's a comfortable catch in the end for Victor Valdés, who really hasn't had to make a save. Here's Xavi Hernandez. Silva's got space on the left-hand side. Villa comes inside. May now be forced to go back towards the left. This is Xavi once more. Busquets for Arbeloa. Now Cazorla. Arbeloa again. Cazorla once more. To Xavi. Back to Cazorla. It's opening up in front of Santi Cazorla as well. He's got support on either side. To the left-hand side is David Silva. Villa is in the box waiting for it. Silva towards Villa. Villa's forced to come back out again and find support from Jordi Alba. This is Silva. Alba goes beyond him. Silva cuts back inside. Now it's Villa. To Cazorla. To Xavi. Silva was making a little angled run inside. Xavi decided against it. Alba's ball across the face of the 6-yard box and no one quite could get on the end of it. And then bashing through was Santi Cazorla. An impressive first game for Jordi Alba as well. Jordi Alba, who admits he was a little naughty at school, and one day his entire school had the day off because Jordi Alba had gone round the night before and filled all of the locks with silicone so they couldn't be opened, couldn't even get a key in there. His debut tonight makes him the 723rd player to represent Spain. Alvaro Arbeloa loses out. His challenge on Naismith was fair, says the referee. Naismith, I don't think, agreed. Silva slips away from Adam, and with the help of Cazorla, Spain maintain possession with Pedro. Now towards Silva. Silva into the area. David Silva made with a chance. Lays it off for Villa. Villa scores. It's a lovely goal. Spain are 3-0 up. And at times it looks easy, but if it looks easy, it's just because this side is so accomplished. David Villa gets his 50th goal for Spain. Spain take a 3-0 lead against Scotland. It's 3-0 in Kaunas as well for the Czech Republic. Scotland will not be making it to the European Championships. Spain, on the other hand, will, and they'll be going as favourites. And they'll be going as favourites because of things like this. It's a wonderfully worked goal. The space just didn't seem to be there. Eventually it was worked through to David Silva, and Silva, with the help of Cazorla and Pedro, found David Villa on the far side, and Villa finished neatly into the corner. Spain 3, Scotland 0. David Villa gets his 50th goal for the national team, and David Silva makes way to a round of applause from the stands. The man who replaces him is Thiago, and you just wonder if Silva, with 2 goals and 1 assist, will depart feeling very happy, or depart feeling ever so slightly frustrated at not having been offered the opportunity to score his hat-trick tonight. He was unselfish in that last attack, had the opportunity to take the shot on himself. Instead, David Silva played it for David Villa to score. It's a reorganisation for Spain with Thiago coming on. It looks like Santi Cazorla will be forced to the left-hand side of that front three, with Thiago in the middle alongside Busquets and Xavi. So it's a all Barcelona central midfield at the moment. Pedro working himself out of trouble in the end. It's a slightly wild hack up the pitch, but that will do, and that will do nicely for Spain. In any case, Pedro adjudged to have been fouled on the way through, as we see the finish from David Villa. 3-0 in Kaunas, 3-0 in Alicante. It's Spain who go to the European Championships as winners of this group. 8 wins out of 8. At the moment, 26 goals scored and 5 conceded. Scotland, who are looking for that second place, will not get it. The Czech Republic racking up their 4th victory of the group. Spain with 8. Scotland would end on 3 victories. Here's Naismith. Support alongside him was from James Morris on the pass, so just a little bit overhit. He's looking for Craig McHale-Smith. Watford-born player, wasn't even part of the Scotland squad until March. Hadn't been able to train with them in La Manga either. Player who came almost out of nowhere. He was saying in the build-up to this game that the entire Scotland team watched Spain at the weekend against the Czech Republic and said Spain were impressive. Well, impressive is perhaps an understatement, and they've certainly been impressive again tonight. Here's Jordi Alba. I think Vicente del Bosque in particular will be very pleased because he did take very seriously that sense of sportsmanship and not throwing games away and treating every game as an important one. Scotland's decision to try and negotiate to play Spain last, presumably believing that Spain may already be through and therefore may not be fully motivated, now perhaps doesn't look like quite such a good one. Of course, they would argue that these points would have been lost at any stage in the tournament, whether they played them at the start of the round of games or at the end. But if the intention was to play a Spain side that weren't really firing on all cylinders, it hasn't worked. Understandable that Scotland may feel that way. Spain's friendly results have not actually been that great. They were 2-0 down against Chile and came back to win 3-2 a month ago in a very, very good performance indeed, but they've had poor performances against Argentina and Portugal, both of whom scored 4 times against the Spanish. Poor performance as well away against the Mexicans immediately after the World Cup. Great as well. Here's Arbeloa. Great as well when they went to Venezuela. There's been absolutely no doubt about the quality of Spain's performance tonight. They have a friendly coming up in November where they will travel to London to face England at Wembley. England, of course, also qualified with their victory at the weekend. Or rather, their draw at the weekend. Thrown away a lead. Bad news for England was the sending off of Wayne Rooney, who will miss at least one game in the European Championships, possibly 2. Here's Villa. It's a pass from Thiago. I think footwork from Thiago alongside him was Sergio Ramos, and now Piqué is the man being forced to chase down the escape from Scotland. Nicely done by Fletcher, very nicely done. There's a lot of space on now and didn't work for Mikhail Smith. In fact, if he'd completely missed the ball, it may have been better, as Naismith was dashing into space behind him. Smith's touch took him away and he was unable to play the pass into the path of Naismith, who was beyond Alvaro Arbeloa. And now Arbeloa is there. Mexican wave going around the Rico Pérez Stadium in Alicante. Spain have played Scotland 6 times before. Rather, they've played in this stadium 6 times before. 5 wins and 1 draw. That was against Hungary in 1977. It looks like it's going to be 6 wins. Record against Scotland. Well, there's fans below us. T-shirts commemorating a Scottish victory against the Spanish, I think back in 1984, if memory serves. In total, it's been 5 Spain victories, 3 Scotland victories, 4 draws between these two sides. But almost from the very start tonight, there's been very, very little doubt. David Silva got the opening goal after just 5 minutes in a Valencia connection. Silva, Villa and Jordi Alba combining. Silva then got the second just before half-time. David Villa's goal in the second half makes it 3-0. Radlek and Rezek, the first 2 goal scorers for the Czech Republic, by the way, will get the third as soon as we can. It's Xavi, lovely ball from Xavi, and it looked for a moment like it may drop for Pedro. It may drop for a corner, it does drop for a corner. Alan McGregor couldn't quite get across the ball quickly enough. In many ways, the only question now for Spain is who will be the players given an opportunity to join in. It's Fernando Llorente at the moment who's down there waiting to come on, presumably for David Villa. Scotland are preparing 2 changes. James Forrest is down there, and the other man who can turn around is, I think it's Goodwillie down there, even though the number is the one that we were initially told was Whittaker's. Here's Busquets. Xavi. Back to Villa. Good save as well. You can see that Villa's body position was all shaped, all ready to take that shot on first time. Indeed it is. Both James Forrest and David Goodwillie down there for the Scots, and Fernando Llorente for the Spanish. Here's Thiago for Jordi Alba. Thiago to Villa. He's given a free kick for a leading jump with the elbow. That gives the opportunity for both sides to make their changes. I think it's the Scots that make the first of them. James Morrison makes way. And the other man is Charlie Adam. Forrest moving a little bit further forward of the two. Rather, David Goodwillie, Forrest will play in the midfield. David Goodwillie is really a striker. And Blackburn in the summer. It's a difficult time of it, David Goodwillie, under an awful lot of pressure. And he admitted that he thought about leaving the game because of the pressure of what turned out to be a false accusation of rape. Goodwillie has come through that, showed character. Xavi Hernandez gives the captain's armband to David Villa. I'm not sure if it will be Villa that wears it or not. Xavi Hernandez makes way in any case, and it's Fernando Llorente who replaces him. Pedro comes across to have a word with Vicente del Bosque. There's going to be a real change around now. I think it'll be David Villa on the left-hand side of the front three, Llorente in the middle of it, Pedro on the right, which means Cazorla going back into that central midfield position that he vacated a moment or so ago with Thiago and Sergio Busquets. Nicely done by Naismith. This is Mikhail Smith in towards Naismith. Now Goodwillie runs through for a corner. It's David Goodwillie with Craig Mikhail-Smith now up front for Scotland. James Morrison has made way for James Forrest. Charlie Adam has also made way. Scotland go for what's closer to a 4-4-2 with two men at the top instead of just the one. Here's Bannon. Now Bardsley. It goes from him. Ramos tries to win the header, couldn't quite do so, and that's surely a penalty. Victor Valdés came out really, really quickly. Craig Mikhail-Smith was going beyond him. Valdés, I think, misjudged his departure from his goal line. Mikhail-Smith, who has caused problems for Spain at times tonight with his pace and his alertness and his aggression. There's no doubt that he got to the ball first and that Valdés's arms came across him. Whether he was looking for it is another issue. I think that's a penalty. I think it's the right decision. It's an opportunity for Scotland to get back into the game. And it's an opportunity that's very, very coolly taken indeed from David Goodwillie. It may even be his first touch. Well, it's Spain 3, Scotland 1. Goodwillie takes it. Goodwillie finished it off. A very, very talented striker indeed, David Goodwillie. And how about that for a cool finish? Victor Valdés was sold. And just lofted neatly into the corner. Suddenly there's a little bit of edge to this game. Almost certainly too little, too late from Scotland's point of view, though. If that will just be ever so slightly change the mindset of both sets of players. Still seems unlikely that Scotland will be reaching a first tournament since France '98. They need far, far too much to happen for that to be the case. But the Scots who are here are determined to enjoy themselves. Levine was saying before the game that we have a big problem in Scotland. We just don't know how to count. We only had 1,800 tickets. We have 10,000 fans, and somewhere along the line the maths simply don't add up. Not sure it's quite as many as 10,000, but there's certainly well over the official 1,800 allocation. It's a lovely run from Alba towards the byline. Alba looking towards Llorente, doesn't quite get there. Arbeloa now for Ramos. Ramos's ball goes over towards Pedro. Now Cazorla. Cazorla gets it back from Villa. Cazorla nicely opened up towards Jordi Alba on the left-hand side. Alba's cross back, takes a deflection, doesn't quite find Villa. Forrest tries to clear. Now Thiago. Gets to Villa to Cazorla. Cazorla thinks about the shot, instead lines it in towards Llorente, back to goal, trying to turn the ball round for the support of Arbeloa behind him, or Pedro over to the right hand side. So Mikhail Smith does really well to bring that down and put PK on his back. It's a return ball from Mikhail Smith. He's got men in the box if he needs him. Comes back onto his right foot. In it goes now towards Naismith. Naismith's got support on the right hand side. Didn't quite see it, or at least didn't think he could find the pass over there. This is Fletcher. Now Alan Hutton. Scotland have got 3 men in the penalty area. Hutton's got support outside him as well in the end. Just waited that little bit too long to deliver the pass, Alan Hutton, and that allowed Jordi Alba to race back before Forrest could reach the ball and get the cross in. But Forrest will now have the opportunity to deliver this corner. Both Goodwillie and Mikhail Smith are right on top of the Spanish defence inside that 6-yard box. 2 more men in the penalty area. Both centre-backs are up there, Barra and Caldwell. Headed back across goal, and it almost dropped as well. It was a combination of Barra and Caldwell who headed that back across goal. Goodwillie was waiting for it. Valdez seemed a little doubtful for a moment. Very, very good leap, wasn't it? It was actually better in the end than Goodwillie was waiting for it. Spain scrambling it away. And the gesture from Darren Fletcher was very, very, very clear there indeed, saying, you're going to yellow card me for just 1 foul. It was a relatively bad one. I don't think it was particularly malicious. Certainly the studs were showing a little from Darren Fletcher, but as he rightly says, 1 foul in a game that hasn't been particularly dirty. Darren Fletcher goes into the notebook alongside Sergio Ramos. Here's Llorente. He's offered Spain something different from any Llorente, the ability to hold the ball up, to bring others into play. Very big, very strong, technically very gifted as well. Really interesting variety of strikers with Villa, Torres, Llorente, Negredo. Of course, Roberto Soldado, who's not in the squad. It's the best goals per minute ratio in 2011 of all Spanish strikers. Here's Cazorla. Just rode the challenge from Bannon. Villa now dropping a little deeper. This is Thiago. Thiago gets away from the challenge. Thiago into the area. Lovely touch towards Llorente. Llorente back to Villa. Villa's shot is over the top. Goodwillie may get there. Ramos let it run. Goodwillie's in, and he didn't see Craig Mikhail Smith alongside him, and for a moment there was an opportunity there for Scotland to really turn this into a game. It's a long, long ball up. Goodwillie was away. Header on. Ramos just let it go. Meanwhile, Spain break up the other end. Here's Villa. Villa into the area. Hutton faces him. Villa cuts back. He's got support alongside him now on the edge of the box. It was Alvaro Arbeloa. Arbeloa couldn't get there. Fletcher now does. He rides a challenge from Thiago. It's away from Arbeloa, but Arbeloa in the end comes back to make the challenge. And Spain have been warned. Goodwilly's made a real impact, and in the support of Craig McHale-Smith, who's played most of the game on his own, looked that bit more dangerous with players alongside him. Piqué is having a word with Ramos now. Ramos just completely let that ball run. Misjudged it, seemed to think it was going out of play. Suddenly found Carl Smith dashing into space, and fortunately for Spain, David Goodwilly didn't see him. Now from the Scottish fans, determined to enjoy this, and their side seem to be determined to try and make something happen too. There's a real break on again. Again, it's Goodwilly. This time he does see his teammate, and this time it's a really, really good interception from Jordi Alba. Alvaro Arbeloa was fouled by Goodwilly, who's picked himself up a yellow card. Well, he hasn't been on the pitch for very long. He's already had quite an impact on this game. Really important interception from Jordi Alba. It's Cazorla. Over it goes now for Alvaro Arbeloa. Piqué now for Pedro. Pedro for Sergio Busquets. Thiago's ball was disguised, finds Villa. Backheel eventually finds Villa as well. There's Piqué. Villa makes the run through the middle. Piqué sees him. It's a nice ball towards Villa, and Villa almost got there. Caldwell's clearance seemed to hit Villa in the chest. I'm not sure if maybe Caldwell's foot did as well. Villa's down. Scotland put the ball out of play. There's whistling. I'm not sure if that's from the Spanish fans for the challenge on Villa or for the Scotland fans for Villa going down. There was Caldwell, who certainly got to the ball first, but was leaning across the shoulder of David Villa at the same time. I think Villa appealed for anything. I think maybe bent his thumb back in the challenge. Villa's up and running. Caldwell too. And McGregor finds Phil Barton. Towards Naismith. Naismith plays a nice 1-2 with McHale-Smith into the area. McHale-Smith tried to cut back inside away from Sergio Ramos, and Ramos was across quickly and needed to be in the left-sided central defence position. Good challenge on McHale-Smith, who was really tanking his way into the 6-yard box. Busquets, Cazorla again. Now Arbeloa. Still pops away from the slide challenge of Stephen Naismith. Naismith was sprinting in. 15 minutes to go. Spain 3, Scotland 1. Silva, Villa and Goodwilly the goal scorers. Scotland certainly threatening to at least make something of a game of it in the last 10 minutes or so. Almost immediately after that 3-1, they had a wonderful opportunity for 3-2, which was wasted. Bad news for Scotland is that the result coming in from the Czech Republic is 3-0 to the Czech Republic, so Scotland pretty much know that they won't be in the Summer's European Championships. They do indeed know Craig Levein was insistent before the game that he would have someone listening to what was happening elsewhere. The incentive for Scotland has gone. The incentive for Spain looks like it will be achieved, which is a 14th consecutive win, a world record held with Holland and France. 2 goals for Silva and 1 for David Villa. Could be another one in here. Here's Pedro. Llorente's waiting, Cazorla is waiting. Pedro goes to the byline, tries to pull it back, and flatness about the movement in the penalty area there from both Llorente and Cazorla. Neither of them offered Pedro the exit that he would have liked. Spain certainly have an embarrassment of riches up front though. Villa, 50 goals for Spain before tonight, a goal every 109 minutes. He'll now be on something close to 106, 105. Negredo, 5 goals for Spain, a goal every 73 minutes. Llorente, 7 goals for Spain, a goal every 100 minutes. Torres, 27 goals. Here is Llorente, goal every 187. And Soldado, who's only played 49 minutes for Spain, yet to score. Pressure certainly has been on Fernando Torres in recent weeks. He's the one player that there are big question marks over. Vicente Bosque has defended him, not just for what he's doing, but for what he always has done for Spain. Of course, Torres got the winning goal in the final of the 2008 European Championships, the most important goal in Spanish football history up until Andres Iniesta's goal in the final of the World Cup. Torres' form had suffered a little since joining Chelsea. Bit by bit, he seems to be finding his feet, though. He's played very well in recent weeks, Fernando Torres. Mixed the good with the bad, a terrible miss against Manchester United at the same time as scoring a wonderful goal. And of course then scored again, only to be sent off. His lovely ball from Bannon, although in the end Sergio Ramos saw it. Goodwillie was the man trying to run on from it, and that's a really pretty awful challenge from Bannon as he tried to get across to it. Jordi Alba is the man taken down. Sergio Ramos comes across to remonstrate with Bannon, and that will be a yellow card for the Aston Villa player. Well, he came into the game with an Achilles injury. No real sign of that Achilles injury tonight. We were told that he could hardly put his boot on. Well, he put the boot in on Jordi Alba. Pretty ugly challenge. I think actually looked worse full speed than it does in slow motion. PK to Arbeloa, Arbeloa back to PK. PK headed forward towards Cazorla. He doesn't get there. Fletcher does. Cazorla tidies up to Jordi Alba, who's really pushed on from left back almost all night. And a little bit further forward than the rest of the back four. Certainly since Arbeloa has been the right back rather than Sergio Ramos. Incidentally, in that last attack, Ramos made a very, very wild challenge that he was fairly fortunate not to catch the man he was hunting down. Certainly have been a second yellow card and therefore a red had he done so. Would of course have brought with it the suspension that would have kept Ramos out of the first game at the European Championships. Not the most intelligent challenges. He's had a good game though, Sergio Ramos. A couple of very, very important interceptions. He's been quick, he's been strong. Neat in possession as well. He's carried the ball forward on a couple of occasions from the back. Here's Villa. Something up for Villa a little bit. Thought about the shot, decided against it. He was then looking for the runner on the right-hand side, and there wasn't one. This is Thiago. Just got a little bit narrow for a moment there for Spain. Jordi Alba once again dashing on the left-hand side. He's been very, very willing to do so. Cazorla to Pedro, and Pedro played the ball back into the path of Cazorla, but Cazorla had chosen a different path. He turned to come inside rather than carried on outside. Pedro in the end unable to find him. Arbeloa. Arbeloa does well to turn away from Kyle Smith and wins the free kick in any case. Here's David Villa. It's opening up for Villa. Fernando Llorente goes one side. Pedro goes the other. Villa was trying to nudge it through the angle. Encouraging Pedro to come inside, but the angled run that Pedro had made was outside. PK now for Cazorla. Via to Cazorla. Llorente made the run into the gap beyond him. Meanwhile, the Scots prepare another change. It's Don Cowie who's warming up on the touchline. Thiago. David Villa. And again Villa. This is Thiago. Llorente. Thiago once more. Cazorla takes it off him. Cazorla thinks about the shot, cuts back inside. Lovely footwork from Cazorla. Shot gets charged down though. Thiago once more. Spain maintain possession. They've had rather less possession in the second half, but certainly in the last 20 minutes or so than in the rest of the game. But as a whole, you would say that Scotland have been outpassed almost all the way through this game. Spain have dominated possession. They've controlled much of the match. So lost control in the last 20 minutes or so, but largely have looked pretty comfortable. Faced by Ramos. Up the line it goes with Jordi Alba is neat and tidy in possession. Finds PK. This is Busquets. Now Villa. Now Thiago. Villa once more. Outside him is Pedro. Pedro comes inside for Villa. Thiago. Scotland waiting. Llorente receiving now in the area. Still Fernando Llorente goes outside, gets away. A good shot as well, and it was palmed clear by Alan McGregor. Llorente, with not very much space, was able to get an awful lot of power on that. Unable though to get his 8th goal for the Spanish national team. Well, it's Darren Fletcher who makes way. Don Cowie takes his place. Cazorla for Llorente. Llorente may get there, but Alan McGregor was quick. Llorente unable to get on the end of that pass. Clock ticks down, 5 minutes to go. Spain 3, Scotland 1. Swings ahead of Good Willie, who was penalised for coming back from an offside position in any case. A little short there, Jordi Alba was able to reach it. Now Cazorla receiving from Villa. Llorente goes beyond him. Cazorla towards Llorente. I think Llorente was offside and he knew it. He checked back. Once the pass had been played to him, he had no choice but to carry on and at least go through the motions of going towards the ball. Linesman's flag up on this near side though. I must confess, I don't know if that's Stefan Witterberg or Magnus Schlolbom. And the mistake allows Llorente in. Llorente couldn't quite turn away. He's got support now though from Cazorla. Cazorla turns into the area. Cazorla thinks about going for goal. Still Cazorla. Somehow Cazorla's come away with possession. Alvaro Arbeloa now wins it back. It's David Villa. Arbeloa's alongside him. This is Pedro. Pedro faced by Hutton. Pedro goes to the water byline and Pedro thumps it into the side netting. It was a dreadful mistake but allowed Llorente in. Well, Thiago, Llorente and Arbeloa, the men called on by Vicente del Bosque. So no opportunity tonight for Juan Mata. No opportunity either for Fernando Torres. There is a chance now though for Cazorla! as it drops just over the bar from Santi Cazorla. A good opportunity that was as well. Cazorla knows it. Spain could have had the fourth. And the two games are copying each other all the way through. It's 3-1 to the Czech Republic now. Step by step, they've followed each other's results. In any case, it's not enough for Scotland. The fans are making their way towards the exits now, though admittedly that's the Spain fans, not the Scotland ones. The Scotland fans a moment or so ago told by the stadium loudspeaker they had to stay where they were. And of course, that'll be harder to enforce when it comes to Scottish fans in the non-official area of the ground. In patches, there have been bright sparks from Scotland. They've been up against one of the great teams that international football has seen, world and European champions, a side that is changing the way that teams play, as Darren Fletcher put it, that have completely controlled football over the last couple of years. It's rather historic the way they've played. Fletcher had a knock on his ankle but did play tonight. A number of Scottish players who were doubts, nearly all of them made it in the end. There was no place for Kenny Miller, but we knew that really coming into the game. Weren't sure that Naismith or Bannon would play. They both did. Weren't 100% sure that Fletcher would play. He did as well. So Kenny Miller, the one that we weren't sure about, but then he didn't play. Scotland had a pretty strong side out there, and the man who replaced Miller, Ray McCall-Smith, has been a real handful for Spanish defence. Ultimately, Spain have just controlled this game far too much for Scotland to ever really have the opportunity to cause them damage. It's been a good 15-minute spell after the penalty that made it 3-1 in the second half. But largely it's been Spain all the way, as it is so often in so many of the Spanish games. 8 wins out of 8 now in qualification for Spain as they head to Poland and Ukraine. 14 consecutive competitive victories for them. A new world record alongside France and Holland. One more to see Spain as the best team in history in that sense, at least. So it's a record that goes back to the Honduras victory at the World Cup. Honduras, Chile, Portugal, Paraguay, Germany, Holland, Liechtenstein, Lithuania, Scotland, and Czech Republic, Lithuania, Liechtenstein, and Czech Republic, and Scotland again. 2 wins against each and every one of the teams in this group. Here's Pedro, lovely footwork from him to get away from the challenge. Still Pedro, what a pity. What a pity the finish wasn't as good as the touch that started it all off from Pedro Rodriguez. Barcelona attacker. How about this for a touch? Wonderful little dink away from Phil Bardsley. Came inside, and just when it looked like he had the easiest thing still to do, it wasn't Bardsley, in fact it was Alan Hutton. Pedro's shot in the end lifted high and over the bar. Here's Goodwillie away from Sergio Ramos. Ramos, though, recovers his position. Goodwillie's cross is easy enough for Piqué to bring under control, and Piqué will stride out from the back now. With support in front of him in the end, he has support to the left-hand side with Thiago Alcantara. Piqué continues his run. Piqué continuing to go on. Thiago's ball in towards Gerard Piqué. Piqué brings it under control as Caldwell comes across to him. Piqué to the corner. Caldwell bundles him over. Spain had a free kick, and for Caldwell it must be pretty frustrating to watch your opposite number, the other centre-back, come steaming forward. And in the end, it was actually a pretty nasty challenge from Caldwell. Studs on the ankle of Gerard Piqué. Not sure how deliberate, but it was certainly relatively dangerous. Here's Cazorla. Cazorla's pass doesn't find Pedro. The referee, Stefan Johansson, jogs back to the centre circle. Waits for Alan McGregor to kick this long, and almost certainly will blow his whistle. Has a quick look at his watch. That's it. It's almost all over. Naismith had a quick question there from the referee. It's the Scotland fans who are singing. They will not be singing at the European Championships next summer. Latest we heard, it was 3-1 to the Czech Republic in Kaunas. That meant that the Scots had to match that result. They had to win tonight. It's been an uphill task almost from the start. David Silva opened the scoring after just 5 minutes. Silva made it 2-0 after 43. Villa 3-0 on 54, and Goodwilly's goal not enough to change things. It's been a real battle between Craig McHale-Smith and Gerard Piqué. They're the first men down there to swap shirts. It's been an enjoyable game, and Scotland for 15 minutes or so gave a really good impression of themselves, but in the end, the world and European champions, perhaps unsurprisingly, were just that little bit too strong for them. Scotland will not be at the European Championships. Spain will be, and they will without doubt be amongst the favourites. 14 consecutive competitive victories now for Spain. 3-1 here in Alicante. It's been another wonderful performance from the Spanish national team. 2 goals from David Silva, and a 50th goal in his Spain career for David Villa, top scorer in Spain's history. Both sets of fans applaud. Both sets of players in the centre circle applauding back. It's been a good night in Alicante. It hasn't ended the way that Scotland would have liked. It has ended the way that Spain would. A perfect record in qualifying for Spain. 8 wins out of 8. Spain go to the European Championships, and they will be feared by everyone who's in Poland and the Ukraine next summer. It's finished here in Alicante. Spain 3, Scotland 1.